So Millie and me had another cup of tea and then we went home. Time for a cuppa. G'day. I've no idea what my good side is, whether it's my right or left, but being right-handed, I guess you're always going to have to look at the right side. Today we're going to go and grab the compressor and blow out the tracks in the back of the vehicle where that air, where the wheelchair hoist was, but where the wheelchair itself was actually parked. So let's go and get the compressor and hook her up. The other thing we'll do is show the charger on, so we'll need a few things for that. I showed you that in episode 3 or 4. Periodically, of course, we've got to keep charging her up because the bus just sits idle, and we do use power. I mean, you know, we'll turn it on periodically and, you know, run things, but for now, let's fire up this compressor, hey? Now these are hex, you know, Allen key type fixings, and they've been there a while, probably since the bus was new. So it's a 2011, you know, so 11 years. They've probably pretty well glued themselves into place, whether that's rust or whatever it is that happens to metal in contact with each other. But anyway, what we've got to do is see if we can pull them out. So I'll just show you the fixings, and what we'll do is blow them out and see if we can get an impact wrench on them. Okay, see the problem. That is that there's obviously nuts on underneath, which means I've got to get underneath through and try and stop those nuts from turning, because these are just rotating at this end. If you're a youngster, you won't know this song, but there's a song, I'll link to a YouTube version of it in the description. It's called Right Said Fred, and as I recall it, because it goes back to my childhood, so several hundred years ago, in it, as I recall, Fred was a bit of a gung-ho type, and Fred and his mates are on this building site, and every time they encounter an issue, you know, this Right Said Fred climbing up a ladder, and so it goes. But of course, you know, things inevitably went wrong, so the other fellows, it says, so me and Charlie had a cup of tea, and so cheers, we'll have a cup of tea while we think about what next. Now what I did discover is that underneath the bus, on that first section that we're trying to pull out, there's a big plate, which is obviously an anchor and or, you know, reinforcement, and there's nylock nuts on the bottom. So I really need to both get under the bus with a you know, a ring spanner or something like that, and be in the bus at the same time with the tool trying to undo it, and that's simply not possible. So I'm going to have to enlist some aid for that particular one. I do believe that the ones in between are just screwed through the floor, so they should come out, but if not, of course, it'll be another case of Right Said Fred picking up his impact driver with his driver had another go. think it's time for another cup of tea. Cheers. Clearly the issue is that while it appeared that there was nothing underneath, there's something that is just allowing those to spin, so I think we're going to have to just try something a little different. Sometimes, you know, the use of force is necessary, and if that's the case, you know, it's a matter really of getting in there and grinding the heads off, and or I think, you know, maybe applying some leverage at the same time to try and pull it up out of the floor as we go. So I think that's the next step as soon as we've had a cuppa. Time for another cuppa, I reckon. Well, that's not really successful, is it? I think we're really going to need to get a second person to be underneath the bus, and that may be me, of course, but a second person up on top who can operate the impact driver so we can see what exactly is spinning down there, because having a look under, it appears as though they go straight through the floor, but that may not be the case. They may be going through into you know, part of the chassis framing, so we're going to need to get underneath there with a spanner. What we will do, though, of course, is tackle the bits that we can do, and that's just along the edge there where there's a cover for the edges of the timber so you don't stumble over it and or chip it. And that also involves taking off that rear cover over the light, as we did on the left hand side. So we'll take the right hand side one off too. While we're waiting, though, we'll get stuck in and we'll hook up the battery. That song, by the way, ends, "Right," said Fred, climbing up a ladder with his crowbar, gave a mighty blow. Was he in trouble? Half a ton of rubble landed on the top of his dome. So Millie and me had another cup of tea, and then we went home. Time for a cuppa. What we need to do is get underneath the bus and hold the nuts that are securing these tracks while we get an assistant above to have a shot with the impact driver on those hex head, bugle head bolts. And that's a great deal of fun because of course you end up with showers of dirt falling in your face, and the nuts, when they come loose, hitting in the eye. Now, it was reasonably successful, but not completely so, because as you can see, there are still some left, and while most of them came out, there were a few that were stubborn, and either because they were frozen solid with rust or something, but they basically just chewed out the hex head. So that one there has only the one left in it. That one has come out completely, and that's that one sitting there. This one has 3 left in it, and so on. And this front one has one in it, which is there. So what we're going to have to do is get the angle grinder out and cut them, then maybe lift the tracks out, lift off the timber, and then we can cut the head of the bolt off and let it all drop out the bottom. So I pity those who have lifted an entire floor. In my case, there isn't very much to do. There's really only this, as you can see, this small section, which is where the wheelchair would have been parked. But nevertheless, no job is easy. When things are stubborn, you get out a cut-off wheel and an angle grinder. We're going to set that up. Well, we tried a few different positions, but none of them seemed to be very successful. And while we did get a couple out, the issue seems to be that grinding the heads off is a very, very slow and tedious process. But I'm wondering whether the solution might be to cut it off, as in cut the track in half at that point using a cut-off wheel. So we're going to give that a try. Well, I reckon we got our money's worth out of that one. Let's get a new disc and get stuck in again. It seems to be quite a bit easier that way though. Now we've managed to get all of this, all of these channels out, and being a kind of person I am, there's some kind of alloy, those tracks, not pure aluminium because they're a bit tougher than that, but some kind of alloy. Anyway, I'll bag them up, take them to the recyclers, and recycle. I don't like chucking stuff into landfill. I don't know about you, but I'm just not, if something can be recycled, I'd rather recycle it. The world is a fascinating place, and what I've discovered here, and I'll show it to you, is called frass. And frass may not be a term that you're particularly familiar with, but it's a kind of an all-encompassing term that really is used to describe the detritus of chewing, biting, boring insects, such as ants or borer or termites, so it's basically defecation. And the rooster agrees. Underneath the ramp, which led up onto that raised portion, there's a big mound of frass. So I'll show that to you and show you exactly what frass is, so that if the word ever comes up in conversation, you'll know what people are talking about. Now there's rubble everywhere, so it's not so easy to see, but we've got all those tracks out, and there they all are. And not only will we recycle those, we'll also recycle the we'll recycle Millie's biscuit bag and take all of that to the recyclers. Now, I think the easiest way to lift this, and I suppose time will only prove whether I'm correct or not, is to cut it into sections, because it's one big sheet, it seems. At least it appears that way with the vinyl on top. But if we run the circular saw set to a, you know, a depth of 12 mil or whatever the depth of that is through here, we should be able to lift that section off there, and then likewise we'll do something similar along here through these grooves, and we should be able to pull that section off after we've pulled out the middle. And I think that'll be the easy way to go, so let's give it a shot. Oh boy, big job. Don't forget to hydrate, because while it's probably at about 35 degrees outside the bus, it's probably about 350 degrees inside, so it's like working inside an oven. Anyway, we got it done, and the blue shirt's a darker shade of blue, given that I'm saturated, but job done. Now what's involved now, of course, is to get Sadie, the cleaning lady, out and vacuum all of that up, and then, and only then really, I think, can we then have a look at grinding off the heads of those bolts and screws that are still left in the floor, because at the moment, with all the dust and rubble everywhere, including all over the cameras, so they'll need a good clean. We can't even see them all, so let's go and get the vacuum cleaner and give it a good clean up. You can see there's one or two screws left, so next job is to get out the angle grinder and clean those up. I'm exhausted. I don't know how the hell you bus builders go who pull up the whole floor. I only really pulled up that last section, and it's tough going. So my hat off to you. Next week I'm in Tas, so I'd like to. Can you hear that goat again? You know, it seems that maybe it's me that's the attraction for the goat. But he's there. He is in the background. Anyway, I'm in Tas next week, visiting family, so I'll probably do some filming there, because it's such a pretty place. They are in a little town called Penguin, which is in the north, right on the Bass Strait. You know, so it's a really beautiful little spot. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'll do a video from there, and then of course we'll be back the following weekend, so that'll be the weekend of the 10th, 11th, something like that, I think, and we'll see if we can get a video done in that intervening period. But have a damn good week. Thanks so much for your company, and good luck with your bus build, and stay hydrated. You know, we used to say drink plenty of water, but now we say stay hydrated.